talk about storing some cards. Well, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name's Louie. Hope you're having yourself a fantastic day today. Today is a long overdue video. I've been wanting to do a video on storage solutions, and as I have been going through the new store, we've had a lot of conversation of what to use and what not to use. And then just in my general life, I have moved from like using binders to using other things, and it's just been a lot. It's been a conversation that I've wanted to have on the channel for a while. I just haven't had the time to make the video. And then also shout out to the sponsor of this video, our first sponsored video. Now, I'm not gonna just like pump their stuff. I'm not just gonna tell you that it's perfect, but the sponsored video is actually Micah from mtga. It's a local game store that's owned by a husband and wife, and then they also make some really cool storage things, I assume with like a laser, a laser cutter or whatever, and that's what this box is. And so we're gonna talk about that as well. And we're gonna go through how we store our cards here at Game Grove for shipping. This is like a solution for you if you have like thousands of cards to store and to sort and to organize, but it's also, we're gonna talk about some solutions for like storage of deck boxes too. This is our store popper deck box, where people can just borrow any decks that they want. We're streaming Popper tonight at 7 o'clock, so make sure you stop by for that. So let's talk about the issue, okay? The issue is that as you collect cards, or as you expand a TCG player's store, or do whatever you're gonna do with your cards, binders are great, and everybody starts out with a binder. Everybody puts their cards in, well, that's not true. You start out with like an extra deck box, right? And you start out with like an extra deck box and you put your cards in there, and then eventually you buy a binder and you put all your cards in your binder. And then inevitably what happens is the binder gets all nasty and disgusting, and the cards start getting nasty and disgusting in there. And you can't really see the cards because your sweat prints, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but binders tend to not last as long. And I think at some point it's in everyone's best interest to move their collection or move their cards that they are selling or cards that are in their trade to some sort of box that people can thumb through or look through. And that's just my personal opinion. But for us, this is very much a necessity for selling on TCG Player and keeping cards organized. We have like 5,000 cards inventoried on our TCG Player, so we need a way to quickly access those cards. And then we also sell singles on our website at gamegrove.gg for Cryptic, which is another TCG, and as well as some other games. And that's another way that we need to have cards organized by alphabetical order, and the ability to drop cards in. If you sort a binder by alphabetical order, when you have to add a card to that binder, you have to move all the cards, right? Like you can't just like move them up and put a card in. So that is why we go with a system that is more of a putting cards in place. So let's talk about the upgrade strategy. So your baseline, if you're gonna do something like this, is these what are these? 800 count storage boxes by BCW. These are really cheap. You can probably get these at your LGS for $3 or $4 or something like that, $2. I don't know. We don't really sell them. But you can get these, and they are just your cardboard storage boxes. And this works. Listen, this works for storing cards. It's really good. This is the tried and true method for all of history for storing cards. But if you're accessing this daily, if you're gonna run a TCG Player storage on the side, you guys know I love encouraging you to get a TCG Player seller account and start listing cards and selling cards. If you're gonna be accessing this daily, it's gonna break. You're gonna have to like move it out. I don't know if you can see it. You have to like move it in and out to get cards in and out, and so it's just gonna get damaged. So this is not a sustainable option for accessing your cards regularly. Now, if you're just looking to store your bulk, something like this is perfect. This is what you should be storing your bulk in. If you're not really gonna go through it, it's just like one of those things where you hate throwing cards away, so it's gonna sit in your office or in your closet forever. These are great. These are fantastic options for storing cards. They're also extremely good if you have like a little trade fodder and you wanna get one of those 300 count ones. And instead of utilizing a big binder that you have to figure out how to store, you can just utilize like one of the smaller one of these boxes, and you can have a little trade binder. Just put everything in sleeves, and it works the same as a binder. If everything's sleeved up, people can just thumb through it. You can look at them, and then they're not pulling the cards out of your binder all the time. I'm not poo-pooing on binders. Listen, if you want binders, go to Gamegenic and buy some binders. Like, these are great binders. I use them for my collection that I'm not trading or selling. These are things that are permanent in my collection go in a binder, because I don't need to be taking them out or putting them in unless I'm building a deck. But for a trade deck box or something like that, I think it's a much better avenue. Okay, so now we have, let's go on to like more of like the review of things, which is, these are Gamegenic Dungeon 1100 pluses. And this is what we have been using from, predominantly to store cards and ship cards. And, I've used these since before I got a hold of these MTech Cave, really cool wooden boxes. We'll talk about these in a second, but these Gamegenics are really, really good, and they're really, really solid, and they're pretty cheap. I mean, at 65 bucks, that's MSRP for those. They are really, really good. They are a soft, I'm gonna bring it up to you. You can kind of see, they're like a soft material on the inside, which is super nice, because when you're taking cards out, you're not worried about like scuffing them up or damaging them. And then, Magic the Gathering made a version of these. It's actually an Ultra Pro one that we used when we did the Brothers of War shipping, when we opened up, mass box opened all the Brothers of War cards. And the Magic the Gathering ones, the inside fabric is really, it's slick. It's not like a velvety, it's almost like I don't even know how to explain it. And the inside of those, the cards would slide down, but this is like it's almost like it feels like a cloth that's microfiber. It almost feels a little bit like a tiny, tiny microfiber on the inside. And so the cards don't fall, they stay. They don't stick, but there's friction there that allows the cards to stay up, rather than when you're thumbing through them, slide down. And these are really, really good. They also, they're, what's it called? Convertible. So you can take the top of the box off, and you can put it down like this and cover it up, which works out really well, because if you're selling a card or if you're talking to somebody about a card, you can actually flip these up and then put the card on this really nice surface and fabric. And then it also fully goes on the bottom of the box, and that allows you to really have full access to it without losing the lid. So when we do our Pauper Night, we put all the decks in this box and we just set this up, and people can go through and get their boxes. This works really well for us for organizing cards. It does fit top-loaded cards like regular, like you can see here. We have top loaders just kind of preventing the cards from falling over as we're going through if we don't have a full bin. But it does fit top-loaded cards as well, and then it fits deck boxes. So this is a really good function. We sell a lot of these to people who have like there's a guy in our store, Sam, who runs pre-modern for us on Thursday nights. And so he has like 10 pre-modern decks or 5 pre-modern decks or something. And he has one of these that he keeps those decks in. It also works really well with Commander. So really great product on the Gamegenic side, but doesn't always look great, right? Like this is, this is not something that I would want to display in my house or like have out. And that's where this MTech Cave box comes in, and these are a really interesting product, because I think they're very specific to a use case, and they're really cool. They are wooden and they are laser cut, so you have to assemble this. I'll start with like the negative right there. Having to assemble a box, it takes a lot of work compared to just buying a box. Now there are some positives here. It cuts down on shipping costs. It cuts down on the cost for them to produce what is a really superior product in a lot of ways than the Gamegenic Dungeon. It allows them to make something that's sturdier, bigger, and also with a drawer, which is, I mean, one of my favorite parts of this. But right off the bat, you do have to assemble this with wood glue, and they recommend using clamps. Now I didn't use clamps. I used actually ratchet straps from my truck, and it worked fine. It's corners are all 90 degrees and all that stuff, but that was a negative for this, is assembling that. But once it's assembled, it is a phenomenal thing. I'll put some overlays of some other videos. This thing slides out. It's basically a drawer, and it's heavy enough on the back end, and there's also a handle back here that you can use this as a drawer, which allows you to stack them. And that is fantastic. For us as a store, I could see us moving 100% to these and just having a stack of these that come in and out, and then you can access the cards. They're also then modular, so you can you know, go through and add on, and they easily adapt to more product coming in and adding on. So to be able to slide that drawer out, I think is really, really cool. And then it also has on these drawers, another function that I wish the Gamegenic had. It has these little slits in it, and you can see right here, you can put these dividers that actually lock in place, which is super cool because it allows you to separate out cards. So these are our cryptic cards, and we separate out by like type of cards. And so those dividers that it comes with are very, very good for helping organize, which is what this is all about. Listen, if you're gonna do something like that, like this, organization is key, and staying organized is super important. So to have a box that is modular, and that also allows you to have customized, like, you know, inserts, so you can customize the way that you sort it out, and it doesn't have to be a specific length. You can add length or take length away, is super, super good. And when it comes to cost, you know, these are actually a little bit less expensive, between $40 and $60, depending on which model you buy and how many drawers and that kind of thing. And like I said, you can stick them somewhere, and they're just a little bit more sturdy than the Gamegenic ones would be. But they do, again, require additional work and additional energy. Now, they do have on their website that they will assemble them for you. It just says additional pricing. I'm not sure exactly how much that costs. That would be something to look into if you are not handy enough with wood glue and clamps and that kind of thing. That being said, it wasn't that hard to assemble. If you have any semblance of history of working with that kind of stuff, it's pretty simple. You just run, they have a whole video about it. You just run a line of glue on it, you know, clamp it up somehow. So that being said, if you've ever used the Gamegenic ones, let me know what you think of those. Or if you're interested, head on over to mtgcommunity.com. And thank you so much to Micah for giving me one of these or two of these to review and to look at and to source some cards, and they've been really good for use for that. So yeah, hopefully you guys have yourself a fantastic day. Be kind to the people around you. We'll see you again next video.